good afternoon, evening, probably mostly evening, good night. This is live VGM Feedback Community Night, which one day I'll get an even smoother name. And I'm joined today with my lovely friend, Trey Watson. How you doing?
Doing good. Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. It's Tuesday. It's supposed to be Taco Tuesday, but I ran out of time for tacos, so I'll just do Taco Wednesday. It's already dark outside because Pacific Northwest gets dark at 4 now. Yeah, depressing time. Chat, how are you doing? How's everyone feeling? Hey, Carrie, Becky,
Hey,
and
Carrie.
GR, self-referential. Good to see folks trickling in. So I'm going to explain the sort of way we do this real quick because we have the biggest backlog I think I've ever seen, probably because we also have the craziest weather stuff between Trey and myself having different weather-related chaos.
Insane.
So almost quite literally, last week, of course, PNW got hit with a bomb cyclone, thus putting out a lot of friends and homies on their out of power, and we hosted 10 of them for like impromptu dinners, and it's pretty crazy. And then, of course, I believe
That was
y'all got snow, which must be a little bit more normal, but yeah, nonetheless, I'm just glad everyone's safe. I think most folks I know have power now. I almost tricked one of them to doing a feedback stream with me, but instead I ended up doing a cooking stream on that day, impromptu, as I tried to feed 10 guests. And that was a lot of fun. So anyway, feedback streams, the point of the stream, community stream, is for folks who want to kind of work on their game, their favorite craft with music, and of course me coming from the video game remixing cover scene. We're going to talk a lot about mixing and producing and coming up with creative ways to improve yourself as musicians and just creative people. And of course, having Trey here, they've got a lot of background in not just gaming, but anime, literal games, like soundtracks, and of course nerdcore. So I wanted to use that as a vehicle to invite those categories of music as well. So, yeah, with all that music to digest, we've got very, very simple house rules that are kind of just normal rules in that we're going to play your music for up to 3 minutes and kind of cut it off there so we can get through as much as possible. And anything that we don't get to, my DMs are certainly open. I'm happy to share what feedback I can always provide. And I'm sure
mine are as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Reaching out to Trey is a great way to figure out what is wrong with my songs and where I can get better, of course. And just in general, I think that's just the culture that I think we want to have, where, help out folks who want to get great. If you know something that maybe that could help them, bring it. So just keep it chill, of course. We're gonna read aloud the person who submits it. I'm going to try to prioritize everyone in chat first, and the categories that they're going to want feedback on, and stick to those. And we'll pretty much kind of lead by example, but it's not just a Ro and Trey watch a bunch of videos and music and try to cool.
Oh,
Sorry, we have a guest. Allison is here to deliver me an apple.
hey.
Like in Death Note. No, it's because I'm hungry and fruits are great. It's not just going to be us two judging things. This is about us kind of leading a cool conversation about how to get better. So without any further ado, why don't we check out the first cover and just kind of start listening to some music. So this one comes from Self-Referential in chat, he, him. This is Light Left / Mad Father. And here's some notes for us. First time doing a transcription by ear, and then first recording with 7-string. And chat, I'm sure you might know that both Trey and I enjoy 7 and even 8 strings. So goals for improvement are tightening up rhythm tones and writing more creative drum parts. We're going to talk mix, performance, arrangement, all the audio things. So let's check it out.
Sounds good.
better ignore that. It's just Thanksgiving recipe. All right. So that's 3 minutes of checking out this one. So I wanted to try to find like a musically sound spot. Trey, you are guest. Would you like to share your impressions, feedback, thoughts on this one?
Yeah. First of all, this is absolutely sick. I actually saw a couple of people in the chat saying it's like really doomy. I really actually agree. It's really, really dope.
Definitely.
So we're talking like mix stuff and guitar stuff, right?
Yeah, all audio aspects, arrangement, performance,
okay,
mix.
Well, first of all, I love the arrangement. I'm such a huge fan of just like trying to balance like really powerful strings and then like drony guitars. I think you really got something cool. The one thing that I would do, and this is like such a balancing act, is you're running into the one issue that I find a lot where your strings feel really strong and really powerful. And since you've got so much like high energy stuff in the low end, like hearing cellos and basses really like push forward, the guitar actually kind of suffers a little bit. It actually is drowning a little. So what I would say is take some time to kind of balance your bass and mid range between your guitars and your strings, because they kind of sink a little bit. I notice when everything really gets forward and really gets going, everything sinks a little bit.
Yeah,
my bad, dude.
No, go ahead.
There's one other thing, and I'd just say the drums are just and like don't take this as like, you know, me putting anything down. This actually sounds amazing. But I think the drums have some room to kind of beef up a little. They actually sound a little thin. I think you've just got a lot of room in your low end to really like punch this up some. It'll be really good.
That's actually the first point I think I made. So I like to jot down notes when I listen to this stuff just in case. And that was one of the first things. I was like, I love the kind of mood. I think tonally and musically, there's a very clear sense of like, I think of like dread, you know, it's just like something walking in the middle of the night, and it gives a really cool imagery. So I think Mish accomplished there. And then having like more impact with the drums, especially when you listen kind of at a quietish volume, I do hear guitars, and I'm so happy the cello is not lost. a lot of folks in the rock and metal scene, they'll bring on really cool instruments from other kind of backgrounds, and they can get buried in the density. But I can hear Chromatic's cello quite well. I think so. Yeah, having drums that fill out the space, kicks that have like maybe a little bit more of that like oomph sustain from room mics, things like that. I also couldn't hear cymbals too much, and I know that cymbals are usually brought down in heavy genres quite a bit. That's something I think personally I would like to hear a little bit more of. I wasn't sure if this is from something. I don't know if Mad Father's the game or Light Left is the game, but yeah, like this is a really cool style, I think, in general, to have a slow, heavy kind of mixture. So I definitely want to hear more in this vein. Also, chat, thank you so much for not making me have to remind everyone. Everybody share your thoughts, your impressions. Do not feel prompted. And I usually have to do that in the feedback stream, but I don't know. Trey just makes everyone want to get on and start participating. So this is really fantastic. I think because we have, I don't want to like breeze through, but I think we have such a phenomenal stack. So I'm going to go ahead and just dive on to the next one. But huge thank you to Self-Referential for sharing his track here. I love kicking things off. It almost feels like a little Halloween-y kind of choice here. So this next one's from another regular, MGR. So this is Pig Step from Minecraft, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a Lena Raine composition from newer Minecraft. So in comparison to my other cover music, this one's more well done. In between the moment, I posted my late... Oh, I see. So this came out before a newer thing. So I've gotten better at guitar, improved my setup, entered my high school's band. So I played for stage on the first time, got comfortable with guitar. I'd love focus feedback on videography and mix-wise. I feel like that's a fun tag team I was hoping to do here. So we'll talk mix, we'll talk a little video and music, we'll talk everything.
Oh, yeah.
So let's check out Pig Step from MGR here. All right. Pig Step.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
I guess I'll take the first crack at this one.
Yeah.
I gotta say, impressions-wise, that might be one of the best video edits I've seen from VGM in a while, and the amount of like you never let go in terms of like transitions, in terms of colors. So I really, really, really liked how this was cut together. One of the things I really strive to do in general with feedback, and I'm sure you do this too, Trey, is like remove the cost and like elements that nobody can just magically fix up. So like, yeah, this camera may not be like some red 8K like Helios thing, yet I've got different angles of a very interesting performance. You have colors. This is a really big one. The colors that match the style of the game or the level, which I think Pigstep is part of like an underground lava area of new Minecraft update. I'm not super up to date with Minecraft, sadly. And yeah, like it's not also the only color palette you've got. You've got this fiery red and sparks on top. It's so effective and simple. And then you cut to blue, and you know, now my eyes are kind of excited again. Hey, Shay. So yeah, I think there's a lot of interest in this edit, and it might be one of the most interesting videos just because of those simple moves. Transitions are cool with the split screens. So in terms of like feedback thoughts, I think from like a literal level, if you can add any sort of extra lights to the front of your shots. I know a lot of people like getting ambient with like dark and then turn on a couple lights, and that works really well. But then the subject, you, might get lost in the darkness. So having something, even just a little light in front so that we can see all that sweet detail in the guitar play, I think goes very far. That's more of like a film technical take. And yeah, like just push it more to Pigstep. Is there a way to put blocks in there, something that connects it more to Minecraft? Then, you know, this could have been like a Bowser cover because there's fire and there's lava and stuff. So how do you just connect it a little bit more specifically to Pigstep? Or and I know some of that's tricky. It's something I think about a lot because obviously you don't want to get sued by John Minecraft or whatever. But yeah, all of my thoughts are really just yeah, this is a 2.5 minute cover. I don't think you reused too many effects. You had a few of those like da 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 breaks, and it cuts to black. So maybe like switching between a full hard cut to like cutting to, I don't know, a sequence where you've got, you know, a moment. Maybe like that's where you throw in B-roll. If you got like a Minecraft toy on your desk, cover that in fire. Just small things so that it feels like fresh throughout. But for 2.5 minutes, like, yeah, you really gripped me. It's Steve Minecraft. I'm so sorry. I didn't even focus on the mix or anything, so I thought it was jammy, but I also wanted Trey to chime in.
Oh, I've definitely got
please,
you. So
please.
I'm gonna touch a little faster on the mix on the video, because what I was gonna say, I think I can illustrate it like this. So I don't know if you're familiar with the holy trinity of lights, where you have like your key light, your fill light, and they usually have another thing called hair light. But I'll show you using my camera right now. So I've got 2 lights going here, making my background, right? But the most important thing that I have is my key light. And watch what happens when I turn it off. I'm gonna hit my stream deck really fast. I'm washed out in all the other colors immediately. So what that does is it illuminates you and separates you from your background. And I think that would, if you can just, they've got some really simple like key lights for like $20 on Amazon. I think that would be the perfect thing to help you separate yourself from the other colors you use, which, by the way, I actually wrote down really, really cool use of color. Just a little bit washed out in a couple spots. Yeah, I didn't even think of what you said about B-roll, but that would be the thing. So, like, if you got some time when you're not playing, if you've got some Minecraft stuff, find some footage of you playing your game. If you've got, like, I don't know,
pig footage, like, just, you know.
Yeah, just anything you've got sitting around that might be, like, fun to just throw in and just kind of break up your playing, I think that would be perfect. As far as your mix, I actually said, like, the first thing I noticed was, like, your balance is really, really good. I actually heard everything extremely clearly. Nothing felt muddy or lost. The only thing that I really have is your rhythms. I think you had some pitch shifting going on, and I think that kind of muddied your guitars a little. But I think what you could have done is just pulled those up a little and pulled your bass down some. The bass sounded really good. It was just a little too in my face. But really, overall, I'm actually really impressed. Really, really good job.
Yeah, I think chat's echoing quite a bit. Bass is fat in this. But yeah, I really was impressed, especially because, again, I haven't seen too much work from MGR yet. He's been in this community like feedback stream very frequently. So I truly have to hope that being around more and more creative people and just going to town, getting creative is hopefully helping, because this is really cool. I
definitely keep it up. It's really good.
All right. Now, again, we're taking a little bit of a faster route because we are getting more and more and more and more music.
Oh, man.
But yeah, thank you so much for submitting, MGR. And we're going to keep going. One thing I'm going to also remind folks, I can't really post it in the chat at the end, but I'm going to have in my Discord every single URL that we went over in the stream. So you can check out in that channel. It's just listed as VGM Feedback Nights in case you want to follow everyone and all that. Making dinner for kids, but I'm lurking. All good, all good. I want to know what's for dinner. All right. I'm assuming this is not the One Republic. Actually, sorry. I don't believe they're in chat. Let me go to the next person in chat. I definitely see you in chat, David, of course. So this is a nerdcore song, which is very exciting. Something that I am hoping to get better and better at. This one's called The Ultimate Life, about our boy Keanu Reeves, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Hell yeah.
I took more than... Oh, you're going to really like this one. I took more than a month of practice to improve my screams and learn how to blend false chords and fries to expand my range. So this is David Guthrie Music, he, him. We're going to be talking some mix and performance stuff and arrangement stuff for a nerdcore song first for our feedback stream. So let's check it out.
Well, let's go.
This vengeance is mine.
Okay, I hate cutting off music, but there's no way I can cut off a guitar solo. That would just be incorrect.
Shout out Joshua.
Just Josh typically jump scare for you.
So good.
Trey, your turn to go first.
Let me hop on this one. Okay. So first of all the individual elements of this mix sound great. I actually think everything sounds really strong. That said, so let's talk about ways that we could level this up. Because I see a few things that would be really, really strong to make this feel even more dynamic than it is. The one thing I notice is as we kind of like come out of the intros and choruses and get into that like more electronic verse, we lose a lot of energy. Like it kind of like, even with that like impact with the low end, that like sub drop, we kind of fall off a cliff a little bit. So what I would think you could do is kind of take some sound design elements that help you make that transition a little better. Nothing wrong with grabbing a couple samples off of Splice, finding what kind of takes you in between and helping you get there. The other couple things that I'm going to say, I know you were really talking about the vocal mix. I got to say I'm like really, really impressed by how it all sounds. But if there's one thing that I think you could probably work on a little bit is kind of finding space. I notice when you have your layers, they actually feel really like squished together, and it's a little hard to kind of like hear everything as a complete, like, I guess like as a unit of like as a stack of vocals. Maybe play a little bit with your panning more and see what you can get from that. And there's one other little like mix element that I'm not hearing that would help kind of move from segment to segment is I think your cymbals just need some more high end.
That's what I'm
hearing. I'm hearing those crashes, but they don't do anything to actually like pull me into the next section. I actually hear the guitars run over them more than they actually like make their presence known. But overall, yeah, like really cool song, really cool arrangement.
Yeah, I think pretty much I focus, obviously, because audio. So I got a lot of really great impressions that there's a lot of like soul and power behind the vocals. I like the performance of the shouts. I myself am definitely like in that like transitional, do I work on this more or like, don't use it at all thing. So I'm really impressed by how those sound, and especially knowing David for a while and hearing a lot of music. I think the song's written really fun, especially because of those transitions and like the time kind of signature change, meter change was really cool, and really is effective that way. My like micro nitpicks that weren't, I guess, covered is with lead guitars. I think the intonation, especially in the intro, sounds just ever so slightly like in and out of tune. This is something where some people melodyne. I'm stubborn. I just retrack like hell until the guitar is extremely in tune. And because you have electronic elements that are perfectly in tune, sometimes the discrepancies of how a lead guitar is played are made a little bit more obvious. Now, the solos, sick, both of them. And I think that's where it shines a lot better. But when you have an individual, like, centered lead or not a panned lead especially, it's really exposed. So that's why I honed in very specifically on that. And from a songwriting perspective, everything else is just stylistic. Like, as a prog person, I'm like, maybe the chorus riffs could be more intricate or whatever. But no, that's not that's not necessarily a required thing. I think it goes hard. I think also from a focus on like how good the vocals are, your lyrics are, you don't need complexities everywhere. But yeah, song kicks ass. It's really cool. It's a Shadow song. I've never melodined a guitar. It doesn't make sense in my brain because of how quick it is to just click and then retune and try again. And I'm working with a band right now and producing a lot of their like, for the first time, math rock guitars are very complex. And my answer has been like, if you can retrack it for me and get it razor tight, we don't have to edit it later. And yeah, I mean, sometimes that might be the case. But yeah, overall, really cool. Thank you for being the first to offer up an original song on one of these community streams.
Absolutely.
I'm going to quickly scroll through chat and see if we have anyone else here that we that sent in, and I'm gonna kind of go in order here. I think I saw Shay join earlier. Armature, yeah, that's the one. We're producing album number 2. So this next one comes from Shay's Violin. So we've got Corridors of Time. I'm trying to remember. I think she might have submitted a different Chrono Trigger song in the last stream here, but let's get some details. So a break from all the rock and metal. I've been trying to incorporate more percussion and different video angles to keep things interesting in video and audio. So we're going to be talking mix, videography, and performance. So let's check out Corridors of Time. Hi. Perfect. She is in chat. What up, Noe? Good to see you. All right. We're going to cap. Oh, it's under 3 minutes.
We love that.
Wow. All right. Chrono Trigger fans definitely eating good since the game came out, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I was correct. I think the last time Shay shared something in the feedback stream was from Chrono Cross, and it was, of course, Scars of Time, which is like a very, very exciting sort of track. So this one, I think it has still the gravitas and, you know, size of that song, but there's definitely a lot more gentleness to this and much more groove. The notes I have, of course, I kind of start with video, and I have like a handful of music things, but everything here already feels like things that have changed on Shay's channel from video to video now. So I really, really, really like, and I've done this move on the Paper Mario Origami King video. I do this with the band Split Screen. When you have your Waffle House looking big splits of many, many, many instruments, it's been done quite a lot. but to make it 3D and start moving slowly from one instrument to another, it kind of makes it pseudo 3D and also helps, I think, the viewer be able to take in more and more instrumentation. And the way it was used here was really cool because I think you have like the arrangement grows in size. It started with the kalimba and introduces more, and visually you are representing the music that much better. So I think that's a really good move if you're going to have many instruments and showcase many instruments in this kind of fashion. I liked that there's a color scheme that was chosen. I have like a very specific thing that's not even necessarily about this video. It's just something that I notice and even still can't figure out. But like you take some of these really great frames. Whoops. Let me find a split. So if I don't tell you what song this is, and again, this is like a VGM thing, so we all have to probably figure out how to work with this. This could be a million different songs, you know, without knowing it. From a visual point of view, it's hard to tell if this is Chrono Trigger or Kirby or Final Fantasy or anything. And it still looks fantastic. This frame is very pleasing to the eye because everything has some sort of order, and there's also a lot of organization. Violins, violas, I assume, kalimba. I like that this is organized the way it is in particular, and I think that's really cool. But what might be able to take this to the next level is the connection to specifically Chrono Trigger, and I haven't figured out what that might be. I don't know if that means you have to have a clock on there or something, or a castle for Chrono Trigger. I also really liked seeing multiple shots of the air who. I think that might have been something I actually have suggested before, because that is such an instrument, like an interesting instrument, and it's also got many aspects you can look at: the left hand, the right hand, the bowing. And I could tell from like the violin solo, which is really good, that's also kind of the case. There are multiple different parts of this very interesting instrument, and especially for a layperson, changing angles always kind of enhances, what's going on. It could be more of a narrative thing. So I like that. That's overall kind of my like videography takeaway. I think this is by far the latest of latest interesting kind of videography that Shay's gotten to share so far as a result. Trey, thoughts, impressions, Corridor.
Oh man, I could listen to that all day. First of all, that was so good. I'm actually gonna leave the video alone because you actually kind of touched on it. Everything I was gonna say.
Sorry,
literally.
We're kind of like dividing up pretty cleanly that way, aren't we?
Hey, I love it though. So the one thing that I'm gonna say, if we're just talking about like finding the right balance, this is already really, really well balanced. There's so much that is just feels perfect. One small nitpick for me is, especially with percussion, since that seems to be what you want to kind of bring out more, pay attention to, well, I'm going to get super audio nerdy, so if I'm saying something that like goes over you, just let me know.
Just define it as you go if you need to.
So the make sure that you're paying attention to the transients of your note, which is the actual point where the note hits. I'm hearing the transient for your percussion, just basically that, but the actual body of the notes tends to disappear a little bit. You can kind of leverage that by using some compression, or if you know where about in the frequency range the hits actually where they kind of live, you can kind of notch them out just slightly to kind of help the rest of the frequency spectrum kind of live. And that'll help overall a lot of your percussion feel more balanced, and it'll actually allow you to pull them up more in your mix to let them represent their own sonic space. Overall, though, that's like I feel like that's like the only note I've got.
It's something that I think, and I'm sure you see this. Like, there's not a lot of resources that are well known or talked up for non-rock metal or electronic production. So when we talk about percussion that isn't drum kit, it is really interesting to like kind of have to figure this out. Sometimes I use like transient controllers, and I have to take like wild guesses what might work because that's not there. That was the only thing I wrote about the audio in the entire thing. Was I'm curious about like the percussion transients jumping I wrote down, and like what can be controlled there so that you get back your space. But this grooves. It grooves really well.
I have one other note. Shouts out to Ro Panuganti for his impromptu collab on the keyboard.
Oh, shoot, sorry. Yeah, I'm... So cutting the peak frequency to bring everything. So when it comes to transient control, Trey, what do you think as far as like your options to help shape and control different kinds of percussion?
So there are several ways that you can kind of control that. The easiest one is if you take something like a basic compressor. And this kind of comes straight out of working with snare drums, where there's a lot of like that hit on the top snare. If you go with a slower attack and a slightly slower release on your compressor, it'll allow more of the actual body of your impacts to come through, while kind of cutting off the back end so that you have less of just the mallet impact if you're using like things like that. In addition, there's plugins like TransX or Transient Designer, which are easy to get, and it allows you to kind of stretch the back end of your waveforms to kind of fill out that sonic space a little bit better. And just like I said, like if you know where your frequency is hitting, like if you happen to own like Pro Q3, you can actually turn on the live waveform view, and you'll actually see where about the impacts live in the frequency space. And you just notch that out a little.
Yeah, I think you can, if you're a Reaper user, which I think you might be on audio, RIA EQ, there's like a Pro Q copy, so the interface is even more detailed, like FabFilter is. And yeah, you can get down to like the frequency level and like the note level and just
absolutely
adjust as you need. Thank you so much for sending that one in, Shay. It's always really exciting to watch you kind of tweak video to video, mix to mix, song to song. And someone was talking on Blue Sky about this. If you're not on Blue Sky, check it out. It's safe and cool. Someone had mentioned about like, do solos belong in things? And my thought, after doing this for so long was that's what I present. I want people to enjoy my guitar playing and remember that aspect quite a lot. So I always put a guitar solo in. And I think Shay's definitely shared her technicality on the violin, let alone, how to arrange something that grooves. So I'm really glad that there's a violin solo spot in the same kind of spirit here. Ableton. Okay. Well, you've got EQs in Ableton. There's no DAW that doesn't have EQ.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So just keeping up with submissions that are in the that are also in the chat. Let's switch gears to a Zelda cover.
Ooh.
So this one comes from Becky Starr, who I believe might have sent in something in one of the older feedback streams. So thank you so much for submitting one in. I'm still newish to piano, but I wanted to play my favorite Zelda song. Don't have a big recording setup, so I recorded on my phone. That's how you do it. Took several attempts to get right. So we're going to be talking about music performance, arrangement ideas from Becky Starr on Midna's Lament, which is from one of my all-time favorites. All right, let's check it out.
Hey, Ro, you might want to mute.
I think the finish there says everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a really, really great example of what VGM kind of was born for a lot of people, especially me. I didn't have, like, I had piano lessons starting out, but until I did this back before smartphones were a thing, I guess that means I'm old, I was noodling around with this song because this was the first video game music moment for me that I, like, stopped. And just like Becky's doing there, I'm, like, kind of figuring things out. I'm not sure if this was learned by ear exactly, but that melody is just super, super powerful. So I think, I don't remember whose turn it is to go first, but my brief thing is keep doing exactly this. And the fact that also you sent it into a feedback stream is fantastic, because there are going to be piano players, I guess mildly myself included. I can't play this piece. I can't do the bass line at the same time. So yeah, first of all, you got the melody perfect. And hopefully on your hands, like, as you keep playing this, maybe play it like once in a while, but you'll probably start to notice where your hand should be placed so that you can easily play this song. Maybe you'll, like, kind of notice some of the theoretical aspects, like this song is in D minor and you're playing those notes, dun 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 dun, and it all fits in that chord. My advice from there is, just keep playing. Like, if you love music, you're going to find yourself playing closer and closer to your favorite kinds. You're going to find your own musical voice. And then there's a lot of different channels if you're not able to or interested in having, like, a piano teacher, which is usually really helpful, especially for that instrument. The channel Smart Game Piano has a lot of video game music that's meant for folks who are also newish at piano like yourself, and experts and everything in between. And I'm pretty sure they've got a Midna's Lament on there that you might be interested in checking out, and just slowly work through, like, that first bit, and then tomorrow you're going to play it faster and faster. And that's how I learned guitar, and still learn guitar today. And Trey, I don't believe I know if you play piano as well, but yeah, what are your thoughts with the...
I mean, I play at piano. Well, no, I did some keyboarding classes in college while I was working on my degree. So, like, I do okay. I am by no means a piano player, but I can get by. And I first off want to say this, it is so awesome that you are, first of all, brave enough to send in something while you're, like, really in, like, the early stages of learning it, because that's really where you can, like, benefit the most from, like, hearing from your peers, and I think that's really awesome of you, so thank you. I'm super locked in with Ro on just, like, keep playing the things that you like and keep working on feeling comfortable as you move across the keyboard. The only thing that I really saw was just occasionally, like, when you stopped to kind of move between, like, sections of the keyboard, I would see your hands come up and down. I think that's great. And eventually, like, the more you practice, the same way that Ro was saying it, like, you'll find ways to actually just move your hands in a way that's more comfortable. And eventually, you know, like, you'll be able to add in other things like your left and right hands the more you practice. I want to commend you on just making it the whole way through that, because I think I agree that I might not even be able to do that myself either.
It's such a very complex, like, concurrent motion. But
especially, yeah, like,
I used to play these songs that were too hard for me by simplifying one part. When I was a kid. So yeah, just play, like, a D and an A. Just do, like, a simple, like, jum, and practice that right hand. And that way, like, you're not getting crushed by, like, this difficulty. It's like if Dark Souls had a cheat code mode, you know that you would use it, like, or at least I would. But yeah, you know, preaching to the choir here. It's just...
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, like, those big interval jumps especially are not easy, and I think it's really awesome that you did them so smoothly and so cleanly. Just keep it up. I think you're doing great.
Yeah, I actually might know a piano teacher online if you ever use, like, OutSchool, or there's a few other different websites now that have affordable lessons in case you don't have anyone in your area, or if you're looking for people who teach video game music, which not a lot of places will. So it's a good time to be able to find music teachers. Not super biased or anything, but nonetheless, we've got more music to check out. Thank you again, Becky, for submitting your Zelda cover. Freaking love Twilight Princess so much.
Yeah, it took me back to like high school. That's wild. Oh God, I'm old.
No, I was in like middle school, 8th grade maybe when Twilight Princess was out or something. Let's go with that.
I think I was graduating high school.
It's not important. All right, here's another one from someone in chat. This one's from a game that I'm noticing more and more fans exist for. I didn't play it growing up. I had to pick it up later. The Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy. This one comes from AC Menes. Coming back to mixing and recording after a long time and would love to pick up more tips. You are in the right place. So we're talking audio, mixing, suggestions while we listen to Mason's Lab.
Yes.
You can just use cats to win the internet. Fun fact. All right, I think this
You're
one's...
up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, first of all, TCG, it's not a soundtrack I'm familiar with. I did watch this cover before this stream, but it's always nice to get to check this stuff out again. And video is very funny and very sweet, so I have to shout that out. So, yeah, I like this style. I actually got to speak to, you can check out the AC Menes podcast and spoke with her on Game Grooves about, like, style before playing live. And I think that's actually a really good place to start. This sounds like someone arranged something that would be playing live with a band of maybe 3 or 4. And it's clean. I like the jamminess of the drums and the levels in place. I like that there's... melody on one lead guitar and maybe just 1 or 2 other elements and the organ. It's a really comfortable blend. I feel like there's not that much processing necessary as is. The first thing that comes to mind as like a suggestion is the melody guitar is sitting on the left. That's kind of normal in a 70 sense. So I'm assuming that might be why. You know, if you listen to Zeppelin, if you listen to The Who, there are interesting panning choices that we don't necessarily make in modern music today. I don't think that's like inherently wrong, but it does attract my ears hard left, especially because the organ part is so much simpler and not necessarily as high. So yeah, like having means more centered melody and then the acoustic guitar on the left. I don't know if that would magically just make it a little bit more even from a stereo perspective. That was probably the main thing I could even think of, though. And then reference tracks. If you have songs that you really like, this is catch-all advice I've been given all the time. Find music tracks that you can borrow for mixing comparisons or also panning comparisons. I think that could be a really good way to balance out old school ideas that you're getting from 60s, 70s rock, and then something that still works really well for the modern instrumentation, the modern like drum sampling, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, this is just such a cozy, comfortable kind of track. I can't really nitpick that anything else beyond those kind of moves. Trey, what you got?
Oh my god. So I was already like thinking about wanting to cover Imakuni's theme from this game, and now I have to do it. So first of all, I love this. This is so good. I'm so like all over this. So since you're wanting to talk about like leveling up the mix here, I agree, especially with Ro, about finding like your references that are in this particular style will help you a lot. Because there's a couple things that I noticed where, weirdly enough, a couple things feel a little too hi-fi for what you're going for. Like one of the things is like, especially, it jumped out to me in two places. One is I am hearing a ton of the bottom snare mic. So like when I hit it, like when you're hitting it, I can hear the snares going off, like in the rattle. Snare mic. Yeah. And the other one is anytime you had some of your other cymbals, like I heard a splash cymbal getting hit a couple times, and it was like very clear and present, like right in my face, which is just not something I typically associate with like this style of music. So I think finding a way to kind of like, usually when I would do stuff like this, I took a less is more approach, where like instead of having like individual mics, like if they're programmed, I would take just the overhead and I'd mute all the individual spot mics. It kind of compresses everything down to feel more like one cohesive thing, and I think that would help you a lot. That's another thing where if you're trying to figure out ways to kind of emulate other styles, limiting yourself sometimes gives you more ways to express than having a million options. The other thing I'd say is, again, on the guitars, I actually kind of felt like the left side was a little cramped because I could also hear the acoustic kind of going there. If you had a way to just kind of shift them around, just kind of give them a little more breathing room, I think that would be amazing. I know left side guitar is usually like a thing, like Ro said, but maybe kind of pulling it into like a slightly less extreme pan would be what you need. But overall, this is just so good. It's
cozy. And like on that point, I think I've played around with a few like, let's make something sound not pristine modern. I think for like city pop, with the Game Grooves project, I played around with ideas there. Like 50% was like my limit when it came to even like drums and stuff being less wide. And you can hear, your favorite reference, songs and stuff and borrow there. But yeah, this is a really cool jam. I think there's such a big like interest in coffee house or small light rock kind of VGM. So I feel like Elisa does a really good job with that. All right, let's see. Who else is in chat that we haven't gotten to? Because we have quite a lot. I think we've got one here that we'll mosey on to. We've got just a good bit of time going on. So this next one is from Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. I think you know that one. Got some really cool songs there. So this is It Has to Be This Way from Saria Peregrine. Main challenge is working in a non-treated space. I wonder if I've ever worked in a treated space. So we're going to be talking mix, performance, arrangement. So let's check out Saria's track. It has to be this way.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty. Trey, I think you gotta go first on this one.
Yeah. All right, sorry, I see you. So, obviously, well, Sorry has actually come to my place and had some like one-on-one mix stuff with me before. So I'm very familiar with how they mix and arrange stuff. So I'm actually really impressed. I can see where you've taken that and carried it. The one thing I'm going to say, and it's like partially a mix thing, but also kind of an arrangement thing. I think the one thing that I wanted to hear more from this was actual like high mids. Like your low mids are really important. That's where a lot of like the energy in your song comes from. But I almost wanted to hear like an octave up of that same synth with some distortion on it, just to really like saturate that like high mid. I feel like that would have pushed your vocals enough that you could have really like made it like, I guess I'm looking for more excitement than that was giving me, just because with all of the low octaves, it just kind of felt a little more low key. Otherwise though, I love your use of harmonies. That's actually something I did not do on my cover, so I'm really, really like, I love how you did that. The only thing I'd say for that is just be careful where your voice is a little muddy. There were definitely some spots where it kind of felt like I was listening to you like behind a blanket. But yeah, that's really all I got. They're really small nitpicks. Honestly, a lot of that sounded really good.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I had written down in terms of like sound. The more bite, I think, which is like maybe a high mid sort of thing. I liked it a lot. I'm really impressed. I've not gotten to listen to as much recordings of Saria as I've gotten to listen to Jam Space impromptu sets of Saria and Mag. But this was really cool. I think when the vocals kick in especially, I get really excited because I think like they're performed well. The processing sounds are really neat. And just getting it to that level is really cool. Drums sound, there was a sort of aspect of the kicks, and these are more of a like style thing maybe, is that things come across maybe a hair flat and less dynamic especially at the start with like some of the fills. That I've listened to a good amount of death metal, that's kind of normal there, so I feel like that's very subjective a take anyway. But I did hear things that I feel like might be like Shreddage or Odin guitars, and I've heard MIDI guitars outplay me. I will never deny that in the right hands, MIDI guitars can, just kill me. So I feel like I could definitely hear some of like the stagnant dynamics in some of the parts, mostly because maybe that's also part of how the song's written. Like it's a lot more chords, not as riffy and stuff, but I would have probably like to see like with some of the leads and stuff with that like down, they have like this kind of nasal quality. Odin, that's why I'm so familiar with it. I've played around with Odin. Just anything you can do to spend more time on like velocities or like EQing the DI before it hits amp sims and carving it out to where it has like a little bit more character can help a lot, I think. Because with real guitars, it's the opposite, and I'm like, this is so messy. I wish this was more like even and compressed and like robotic. With there, I think just having a little bit more energy would make it feel a little bit more performed in that way and give a little bit more texture. That's like ultra nitpicking though. This kicks ass, and I can hear like the effort, especially having not listened to anything Sari's made in a while. They did a really good job improving since then, which is really cool.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for sending in a track and sticking around in chat as well. I know we've got just a little bit of time, and I want to keep going through stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, chat, and I need to highlight some more in this very wonderful list. Here's one, and I think this person is still here. So we've got a Wario Land song, a bit of a throwback.
Oh, wow.
The Game Boy is... Oh, don't say that. The Game Boy is 35 years old in 2024. Wanted to make a tribute to Wario, the de facto mascot of the Game Boy. I like that. I'm aiming to improve my writing and energy. Me as a 30-year-old. So we're going to talk arranging specifically. So less on maybe the mix front and just on the ideas here. So let's check out Greed is Good, a Wario rap tribute. We'll get the first 3 minutes in.
Where the hell did this greedy motherfucker come from? Crashing in, dressed up like he thinks he's someone. Fat and dumb, but I'll still make all come. Told you from day one I'm gonna win, and now I've won. Outcome never in doubt, taking over your whole house. I'm the man of the mansion, be stressed out your couch. I'm a man of action, actively destroying all doubts. Dropping game over until the batteries fall out. I'm afraid that there's nothing you can do. Got these powers and I'm feeling brand new. Afraid that the best me is a better you. Put these kids to bed. Curfew. That's right. Show you how I roll. Never spin out, full control, new route. No idea where I am, but I'm probably due south. Always down in the lab until the new album out. Written down, nothing but W's falling out my mouth. Just a little game while I'm gaining more land. These little flames ain't gonna change who I am. Stay in your lane while I run another scam. Pop the trunk, smash the windows, quick money ATM. Alright. Maybe I said a little too much, but you know how I get in the clutch. In the paint, 1 3/4 button pushed. What a rush, shots up soon as a rock touch. Fireworks when I get the work done. Fear the worst if you make me get dumb. Rock the block, destroy the whole neighborhood. Fear the worst if I end up understood. Can you hear me out there? Here we go. Let these lines be the diary of the wealth I'm gathering, of the stacks of balls I'm letting everybody see. Step behind the curtain for a little fee. Snake oil salesman slithering to a new scheme. New scene, chewing scenery for the fame, for the passion, for the love of the game. On the search for more money every day. If I toss a few good guys out my way, that's okay. Let's start with the face, waste of space. Got him coming through in spades. Role players easily replaced. If you're out to save the day, I'm here to hit a race as I contemplate the capital that I create. Animated like the creation of a monster. Here's all foes, hit the flow with no honor. Mastered all the animosity I foster. Time that the main rogue is added to the roster. And here I am. Time to get even higher. Damn, it feels like a dream. Win the lottery and act like it's all me. Look closer, Lenny, notice anything? Covered in gold and the biggest rapper rapping. Big step of stamping, trampoline like a stampede. Drop into your knees, start worshiping me. Testament to ego and greed, shining brightly. Think I'll build an entire industry. Day or night, money 24-hour climb through the sky. Above the clouds, high as a kite. Just a guy trying to live my life and grab every coin inside. It reflects light, it's mine. Just add it to my shine, add it to my save, no time to wait. Make it now, spend it at a later date. Let the wealth accumulate. Cumulus from the substrate, financier of my own fate.
Alrighty. I don't know what I was expecting, but we got a Wario rap here.
Oh man, I think you're up first, Ro.
Oh boy. So first of all, I have not played Wario Land too much. I think I've played a couple of the Wario games, and since we're talking arrangement and songwriting, which I think is actually an area we don't get to go over in Feedback Stream as much, I think this will be kind of interesting. So with that as a preface, I think structurally, the song's, first of all, fun. I'm smiling the entire time because I know Wario, the visuals are really fun. And there's like kind of a delivery that's very, very stylized to Mode 7's work here. That's, again, I've only listened to a pocket of hip hop and going from like, I don't know, Run DMC, super like random mainstream stuff to I guess more modern and even like small local kind of scenes where I've checked out like more hip hop and even neo soul stuff. So I don't think I'm the best person to like give feedback as much as, hey, from my perspective, songwriting things that have been like, not prose, like semi-spoken word, or from things I've done rapping. I think the big thing I can notice is like dynamics when you elocute in hip-hop and rap or just in vocals. You're able to hear words more and kind of appreciate them, and I think like there's a lot of words being thrown in here that kind of come out very even and sometimes a little mushy. And the words themselves, lyrics themselves, I don't know Wario's like deep like story here, so I feel like you have a ton of creative leeway, and it's really, really fun. So yeah, that's as much feedback as I can really share beyond this was really funny and really fun. And I don't know, I feel like you could actually have less breaks in between the verses perhaps while you're at it, although I think they do serve a really good function. Trey, as someone who's actually recorded a little bit more rap vocals and hip-hop adjacent work, what could you tell me?
Yeah. I mean, I've been moonlighting, sneaking through a lot of your favorite nerdcore rappers' songs. If you know where to look, you'll see stuff I've written. But nah, this was fun. This was so much fun. So, I'm not going to sit here and criticize what you put down so much as I'm just going to give you a couple little things to pay attention to when you're like putting together like what you've got. So the first thing I noticed where you had a couple times is pay attention to where you're landing on the beat, especially when you have words where the syllables are not going to fall on the beat you want, because it ends up sounding a little hackneyed and weird. You didn't actually do that too much, but there were like one or two specific points where I definitely caught it. I think the one thing you want to really try and shoot for is natural delivery. Hip hop is so much about, it's less about the words you deliver and a lot more about finding the right flow to give like a good delivery to your lyrics. The other thing is just kind of on that same beat, just try not to cram a bunch of syllables. If it doesn't work, see if you can find another word that kind of delivers the same like idea. And the other thing, you were talking about wanting to find good writing and upping your energy. I don't know if you follow any music YouTubers, but there's a guy named Adam Neely, and one of his old memes in his videos was repetition legitimizes, and it's so true. So one thing that I noticed is as you're kind of moving through your bars, you've kind of got a part where like it starts one way, and then it comes to the back end of your bar a different way. It might just be a good idea to kind of find like a rhythmic motif and kind of stick to it to build a little bit of momentum before you switch it. It keeps it more interesting. It also gives the listener something to kind of bite onto and just kind of ride for a while. That definitely helps you build your energy up as you're rapping. That would be like the one that, like, more than anything else, think about like a rhythm that you can stick to and ride on the beat for a little while before you switch it up.
I think that's kind of an interesting point for everybody. Songwriting and choruses, hooks, things that people will recall. For me, I had an instrumental motive, and I still have people bring up the da 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 that I put in like, I don't know, like 8 songs secretly or overtly, and it's fun, and it's not exclusive to any music necessarily, or even like musical cultures. It comes up in a lot of different ways. But yeah, I think I really enjoyed this approach. So if there's more songs like this to come, there'll be a lot of fun. I think they'll have a lot of, you can put in more energy yourself as well in the delivery. So I would definitely look forward to that. I have one person who I believe is in chat, but otherwise is active in my Discord, and definitely made a point to submit this one. So I want to make sure we get to this one next. This is an original song, I believe, or an original sort of remix. I did this. So this is called Takatic Ambiance from General Grunt. He's a puppeteer in our community who also does original fan works. I did this for Dwelling of Duel's anniversary months. The lyrics are referencing a Dwelling of Duel's meme that took a life of its own. I was fortunate to make a music video for an anonymous contestant who wrote the lyrics. I don't know all the inner workings of Dwelling of Duels, but I understand they do monthly remixes and arrangements, just in case anyone's curious what all this dwelling is about. Challenge is taking an original track and then flipping it to be scary. And then, where is this? We're going to be talking mix, video, the works. All right, so let's get 3 minutes of Takatic Ambience.
Monkey tits. Play this game and you'll see frequent monkey tits. Monkey tits. Monkey tits. Monkey tits. If you need to save your game, then monkey tits. Kiss. Monkey tits. Never fox or squirrel tits. Candy Kong's the only one with breasts on a monkey.
So I have seen General Grunt's work before. My first piece of feedback is Warner Brother, before you put tits in your video for a feedback stream. Nonetheless, of course, I hope no one was offended at something as simple as monkey tits. But regardless, it's worth warning, just in case you were going to go a little bit harder than that. I mostly thought of video things again, but Trey, I think it's your turn first.
Yeah. So I've got some mixed stuff. Nothing crazy, actually, because this is really just like a solo organ and vocals for the most part. A couple small things that poked out to me. The one was, it kind of sounds like there was a point where we kind of like softened the volume a little bit before we swelled back up. It sounded like it was done with volume automation. I think instead of doing that, maybe just kind of drop from chords down to single notes just to kind of like make it feel more sparse before it pulls back in. That's a really small nitpick, but it's just an arrangement thing that can help. And the other thing was just I actually really liked the vocal mixing. No part of that really felt bad. It felt really like, since you're having to balance it against something as like really in your face as an organ, like a church organ, it was surprisingly like clear and well balanced. But that's really all I had for the mix. Also, just puppeteering is awesome. I
believe he's like one of the very few puppeteers I've seen in the YouTube space. I ages ago met, and I had him do Mr. Patch from Banjo-Tooie to try and do a video. I might have to revisit that one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's incredible work to create these characters and piece them together, film them yourself. I believe over a blue screen. Some of you might be wondering how you would film a green character, and that is what they used to use.
I'm very familiar because I have green hair.
That's right.
I actually I shot a few videos on green screen, wasted an entire week, and realized I couldn't use any of it and had to go buy a blue screen.
I think I remember you talked to me and I was like, so your options are do again or mask and track your hair as it moves and hope that you didn't get too into it. And of course, so yeah, most of my thoughts are on video because to all of Trey's points, I think I was really happy with the overall presentation. I don't think the average person would be upset either. I could hear everything clear. You filled out the space. So this is a very cinematic piece of work, and it's really cool. When you open the video, and this is a very interesting stylization that General Grunt creates. It's got like this sort of like Soviet era parody mixed with obviously like a Halloween-y take on aquatic ambience and so on and so forth. So you have references from famous puppet shows like the Muppets and so on, but then also the parody side. I think it was like kind of old school looking. So I would say like you could do full black and white for this one as well, or you could look at kind of how 1950s 60s film was done, where colors are maybe a little bit less exaggerated. You go back to the first color movies and there still is less going on. Film grain, you can download a lot of really great film grain emulations and put it on top, and you can get very specific into this. And like film damage, there's a lot of plugins, but there's a lot of free things there, just so that you're selling that this is kind of made to be vintage. I think those elements are pretty cool, and I think General Grunt has used those. Another thing is just, and we're in the brain rot generation, we watch this same angle in a random room for quite some time, and after like the first intro and the lightning strikes, we're not seeing much, and obviously we're not meant to see a puppet playing real piano, but if you watch the Muppet shows and you see like Kermit playing stuff, the camera's moving, which here it's green screen, so digitally you could zoom in. You can cut between a couple extra angles, maybe him like tapping his hands on either a keyboard, or maybe if you exaggerate the size of these things, you could have it be tapping on like a white book next to a black book that's made to look like a giant piano or organ rather. Small things so that you don't have to spend a bunch of money, but you have like more intrigue going on in that opening. Maybe you could cut to like your bookshelf on the side somewhere at, you know, with dark lights so that it feels like we're being introduced to the area or something. You could even have like fake lightning flashes. But yeah, for almost over a minute. Then one really specific, not really nitpick, more like a topic. If you add smoke assets, like those download smoke things, and just put it on top of stuff, it never looks quite realistic. And the reason, of course, is that if you are actually filming someone covered in smoke, there's depth to it. This can be really like complex. So I recommend kind of looking into either going really hard with that or looking for like maybe particles or some other kind of effects. Hey, don't run off. So that you can actually have multi-layered. It becomes a very complex kind of like compositing thing compared to just putting overlays on top. But I do like that the green is matching there. It's got this like kind of spooky Halloween effect going on. And of course, when more characters come in, it's really great. My other suggestions there is just see if you can have like a wider aperture so that you don't lose focus on the nose. Small things like the exposure, not of that fella's perfect. There's like one or two angles where it might have been too exposed on the camera. So one of the characters, I think around here, especially white on camera, you kind of lose a little bit of details there. These are like wild nitpicks, of course, at like this incredible production, but that's what kind of comes to mind. And then, yeah, like with a color grade and like all these different effects, you really suck people into this world as if it really is like this 1960s Halloween thing. Maybe Young Frankenstein is a good reference film for this style. But yeah, it's a really cool production. Don't get the joke exactly, but it kind of fits because Donkey Kong, so that's always cool as well. So with that, I'm going to mark that on our sheet real quick. And Trey, I know we have like a little bit of a hard stop coming up.
Yeah.
Do you...
Let's do one more. Let's see what we can get.
Sure. Okay, let's see real quick in chat if we have any submissions here for folks that are still in. I think I didn't do my job and marked everything we watched already. Let us do...
Have a good night, David. It was really nice hanging out.
Thank you so much for coming by, David. Shoot. Okay, I'm going to pick one that's asking for, like, all four, maybe.
Yeah, let's get it.
All right, so this one's a really interesting sounding one. So we've got KK Cruisin' from Cook Chicory, he, him. Played this at the music school year-end concert. I wanted to build on this and try a whole single tenor, I believe, saxophone take. So we're going to be giving feedback on everything for KK Cruisin'. that might have almost worked as a perfect pause. Alrighty.
All right, you are up first, Ro.
Okay. Yeah, so first of all, easy one out of the way. Cooked Chicory has shared quite a lot of stuff in the feedback streams. Always really cool to see this. I don't know what exactly the words is. If I were trying to like create this effect, I would use like find edges in After Effects and then like a duotone, multi-tone kind of effect to have like these colors. It's very stylish. It reminds me of like comic books, and I think it thus kind of justifies more of a split view. Although I will say I would love to see like full sizes of some moments and stuff between the arrangement, because there was some really cool licks going on with the sax, and sometimes there was really cool stuff switching around with the like kick and snare. It was really neat. Style-wise, this is a really interesting cover. It's kind of like what KK Cruisin' has become, having gone to a lot of the VGM jams in North Carolina. This song has this perfect Jamiroquai derivative sort of like jam to it. So, you know, people can keep going on that beat and that bass line, and, you know, people can just solo on top of it. I think there's some discrepancies that gives me ideas on how, like, this could be improved. The percussion sounded kind of like lo-fi eyes, like filtered a little bit, but the rest of the elements don't. I'm not sure if that's what you get, Trey, but like I think that's one of the things that kind of makes it like there's two kind of musical mix styles going on, and I wasn't sure if like it was gonna wake up and then switch to like traditional kit or something, and then that way it kind of fits together. And percussion wise, it sounds like it's not like processed too heavy. So like if you were going for like one of those sort of like electronic kits with a jam going on, it would be nice, I think, to have that be more aggressive or just compress a little bit more and just glued together. And then the sax, of course, you're playing really cool licks. I don't know if like more reverb would make sense, or if that should also be filtered. Or like if there's like some light delay that could go on and make it feel more in that like kind of modern, not lo-fi vein, but just like hybrid electronic jazz thing. So like, yeah, I'm not sure like what direction would make more sense, but it's like I like all the elements and they're performed really well. But yeah, it's just a matter of like processing and like what choice would make most sense to make the whole thing come together, I think. So what do you think?
Yeah, oh man, jazz school Trey activated. All right. So I'm going to go down the list with each thing. I'm going to start with the video. I don't have too much to say, so much as I think just we kind of cycled through a lot of like the same shots, and after a while visually it just kind of it got to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm observing. I think some other cuts to kind of like wake it up a little bit would have gone a really long way to make that feel a little more interesting visually. Performance wise though, this is the one where I've actually got some real critiques that I think are interesting. There's nothing wrong with like, you know, just kick, snare, 2, 4, 1, 3, you know, like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but like I go back to some of my days when I was doing small groups for jazz, and I was always told that you should really think about how you're like comping if you're going to like accompany a soloist. So the keyboard in particular, hearing it just go da 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 the entire way through, actually kind of the whole idea is when you're doing that, you want to give opportunities for interplay between your accompaniment and your lead player. So it actually just felt a little too stale, like especially if we're thinking like jazz. I just think you probably could have spiced it up by kind of offsetting some of your rhythms, maybe not wanting to stick to the exact same rhythm the entire way through the piece. Like maybe each time that you like hit the every time you hit like back around, you might kind of throw a different rhythm in on your keys, maybe kind of walk a little bit differently with the bass, just to kind of give it a little bit of like some extra dynamics there. Speaking of which, first of all, that the sax solo is really good. Like, so much potential there. Like, it's really, really strong sounding. But I almost wanted to hear like a little more like play with dynamics, a little more like loud and quiet. Really cool phrases, really cool jumping between everything. But I almost wanted to just feel like I'm being like I'm so like I live in the world of jazz standards because that's just like where I went to school.
Sure.
But like I love it, and so much of like, in my opinion, like what I was taught is like a jazz solo is a complete sentence or almost like a paragraph. You kind of want to like it's not as you're really trying to like be conscious of like what notes you're placing where. You're linking phrases more than you're just kind of running through notes. So I guess that's what I'm looking for.
That's a really good way to put it too.
I mean, that's what little
jazz,
yeah. But the mix, now there's an interesting thing going on with the mix, and I think it is all in the percussion actually. Something about, I think maybe you're looking for like that like DS or like, I guess not even DS, the Switch's like KK music type of style. But something about it just, especially hearing it on the ride as we're like kind of going on the ride, made it feel less instrument-like and more toy-like.
Yeah.
I think that might have been something that probably should have been like adjusted. It almost just feels like I'm getting so much like mid-range out of that cymbal that it just feels kind of plasticky.
Yeah, I'm not sure like if it was filtered, because that was my first impression. Like, we were listening to a lo-fi inspired like intro, and then it was going to switch over to like traditional kit maybe.
Yeah.
And especially on cymbals that are so temperamental, then I'm like, oh, well, that's not the effect on everything else. But you know what this reminds me of actually is like kind of what I would practice jazz, tracks too when I was in jazz band and just in general, where I'll just kind of leave myself on playing and the background won't be able to adapt to you. It's an MP3, but I'm getting all of my chops ready. I'm trying out like different solo ideas, and I think that's really good. It's just maybe not necessarily like a narrative kind of song or so my advice would be go on YouTube and type in video game jazz jam KK Cruisin', and as long as someone's uploaded one, if you listen to any of them, shout out to Triangle VGM Jam in Raleigh, but New York has one, don't think Seattle has one, but you can kind of watch and get some like different ideas and inspirations for like, oh, that drummer, he's like staring at the guitarist during his solo. Maybe they're gonna like ba ba da 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 da, or like maybe they'll do a meter change, or they'll react or they'll play back a motive that the saxophone player played on the keyboard.
Yep.
It's very interactive, and if you were to like, you do your sax solo over everybody, that's fine. Then retrack the piano in another pass now that you've played your recorded solo, and you can kind of react to it a little bit more organic. That's what my buddy Carlos, Insane in the Rain Music, suggested to do and would often do, because he would record a lot of his music out of order, but in anticipation that the saxophones would be like doing solos here or something. And I think it's a really cool like piece of advice that you've given.
Oh yeah,
to get out of
the. One last thing that I would give, just touching on the mix really, really quickly. Saxophone's like the star of the show here, and that is right in the like human voice range. I feel like notching out a little bit of space in that like mid to high mid probably would have made that shine a lot more. It's good as is, but I think just carving a little more space would do a lot for that saxophone.
Yeah, I actually was curious if like, reverb or delay or something would also help, because I think it sounds a little raw, like so you can hear roominess. And sometimes I found that like just a tiny bit of room reverb or, Valhalla Vintage or something fills that out well. But it's a really good showcase. As I mentioned earlier, like if you're a great sax player, this is the kind of stuff that you would arrange to showcase that. Like If I were looking for people locally and I was like, oh, well, this person seems to know how to improvise over, an interesting common jazz progression, and they've shown it quite well here. And a lot of times in this, cover scene, we want to like do exactly what it sounded like in the game in the end. And it, that's still fine, but this kind of a move, I think, helps with just showcasing your creativity in that regard. But yeah, I think with that, I think that's going to be our last cover we check out for tonight. But there's plenty more. So again, if anyone submitted and you're watching this VOD and hoping to check out your track, thank you again for putting your stuff out. This is a really vulnerable kind of thing, so I really appreciate everyone keeping it a very chill space where you can share stuff that maybe you're going to get better at tomorrow, or you're just starting out, or you've been doing this for 12 years and still can't get the right snare, or what have you. And there's always room to improve. No one's impervious to feedback, but it's certainly meant to be an encouraging thing, not this like you suck, don't ever make stuff again kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely not. We're all just here to level up together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see so many like regulars or like just folks, friends, people who've been putting their stuff out into the community and asking for help. And then the next time they make something that's just all that much better, jaw-dropping, creative, they thought of something that maybe you hadn't. So again, everyone, I will have the list of the URLs in my Discord under the VGM Feedback Night stream. I can throw in a little plug there. Oh god, never mind. Okay, let me just throw an invite link in case anyone here isn't already in there and happens to want to check out some of the videos from tonight. And otherwise, again, thank you for sending them in. I'm gonna try my best to keep these monthly. Find different guests or same guests whenever we have the ability to grab them. This was fantastic. We got so many. Oh yeah. Yeah, I almost feel bad we didn't quite get to make through so many, but the discussions have been really cool.
It was so cool. I also just love. I love that like everyone was jumping in, helping each other. That's so good. I love that.
And again, like all of these folks have like everyone's opinion is valid is kind of like a spirit here. Since I feel like a podcaster right now, Trey, would you like to plug anything cool happening in your life? It's not like you're doing anything huge on a big stage for like
not at all. Right now the most recent thing I did is I just released a cover of Pink Pony Club by Chapel Roan with Christina V, and that one's really fun. You should go look that up. It's really good. But coming up in January, I will be performing with Brandon Yates of Death Battle. We will be putting together a little showcase for everyone at MagFest on the main stage.
That's going to be amazing. I don't know if anyone in chat's going to MagFest. I understand it's very difficult to go to MagFest, but it's looking to be, as always, a killer year. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course, check out the new cover. And just go check out Trey Watson. They've got like so much music covering so much fan bases and original music and music you can hear in games. Definitely a huge role model and inspiration for myself. Hopefully we'll have something eventually between the two of us, between all sorts of crazy stuff. Also, Super Genesis, should we submit again for next stream? Yes, I don't have a recurring sort of stream timing, mostly because I do prioritize some of my like music work and life over getting these, but I'm going to try to find a time maybe in December for another feedback stream. I don't know who I'll pull in for that one yet. I do feel like maybe I could get a local jazz boy to attend one of these if his schedule lines up and he's interested. So that would be nice to have both of us in the room. Otherwise, yeah, for me, I've got a huge list of like little commissions. I'm doing music videos, producing Seattle math rock band Armature's album right now. I've got a few game composition things that's new, so I'm going to be sharing those. And I do have a new EP coming out. I don't think we're super secretive about it, So player 2, AJ Klaproth, amazing musician, wonderful person, and I have something cooking up that's going to be a little bit of metal and a little bit of EDM, and it's going to come out next month, actually. So I sing on it and I play guitar on it, and it's going to be really cool. So check all that out. Be safe. If you're celebrating Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. Friendsgivings. If you need turkey recipes, one more reason to join my Discord. I did my Friendsgiving this weekend, so that was super fun. Had like 10, 11 people over. A lot of good stuff. So
awesome.